Have you ever felt completely alone, even when surrounded by a crowd? It's a strange sensation, isn't it? This feeling we call loneliness, it's not about physical solitude. It's deeper than that. It's about emotional isolation, feeling disconnected even when people are around. It's a universal experience, yet so personal. We all encounter moments when we feel utterly alone. But what if there was someone who is always with you, even in your loneliest moments? Imagine a small boat tossed in the midst of a violent storm. In this storm, there is a person. Let's call them Alex. Alex is alone in this boat, the wind howling around them, the waves threatening to overturn their small vessel. Imagine the fear that grips Alex, the panic that sets in. This storm represents the trials and tribulations we all face in life, the uncertainty, the fear, the feeling of being utterly alone. Alex is terrified. They have never felt so alone, so helpless. The storm rages on. The boat is tossed about like a rag doll. It seems as if all hope is lost. But then, amidst the chaos, Alex remembers a story of a man who could calm the storms, a man named Jesus. With trembling hands, Alex clasps together in prayer. The words are a whisper at first, lost in the cacophony of the storm. But then they grow louder, more confident. Alex prays for strength, for courage, for deliverance. They pray to Jesus, asking for his presence, his guidance. As Alex prays, something remarkable happens. The storm begins to calm. The wind loses its fury, the waves their violence. The boat, once tossed about mercilessly, now floats calmly on the surface. The storm is still there, but it has lost its power over Alex. This is the power of faith. In the midst of the storm, when it seems as if all hope is lost, that's when Jesus is most present. He doesn't promise to take away the storm, but he does promise to be there with us, to guide us, to give us the strength to weather it. And in the storm, Alex finds a peace they didn't know was possible. They are still alone in the boat, but they are no longer alone in the storm. They have Jesus with them. And in the midst of the chaos, a calmness washed over them. They were not alone. Just like the person in the boat, we too face storms in our lives. These storms, however, are not always the howling winds and crashing waves that we might imagine. They can be the loss of a loved one, a challenging health diagnosis, financial struggles, or even the feelings of loneliness and isolation that can sometimes overwhelm us. In these moments, it is easy to feel as if we are alone, adrift in a vast sea with no land in sight. But we are not alone. Just as Jesus was there in the boat, calming the storm and bringing peace to those who were afraid, he is present in our lives today. His presence is not always seen in miraculous signs or wonders, but in the small, quiet moments of our day-to-day lives. It's in the unexpected kindness of a stranger, the comforting words of a friend, the beauty of a sunrise, or the peace that comes from a moment of prayer. When we invite Jesus into our lives, we allow his love and grace to guide us. Through prayer and faith, we can find comfort and guidance, even in the midst of life's most challenging storms. We can find strength in his promises and peace in his presence. Even in our darkest times, Jesus is our guiding light, offering us comfort and peace. So, are we ever truly alone, you might ask? From the depths of our hearts, we've all felt the sting of loneliness, the cold shiver of isolation. But let's journey back to the story of the storm. Remember how Jesus was there in the midst of it, calming the waves and the wind. Just as he was there in the storm, he is here in our lives in every moment. When we feel alone, when we feel the world is against us, it's important to remember that Jesus is always with us. He is our constant companion, our guiding light through the darkness. His presence isn't always seen, but it is always felt. It's like a comforting whisper in the wind, a hand reaching out in times of need. In the hustle and bustle of life, it's easy to forget, but we must hold on to this truth. Remember, you are never alone. Jesus is always with you, guiding and comforting you through life's storms.